All right, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike, and today I have a special guest with me, Holli Ryan. She's a registered dietitian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about something I think most people love, right? Lemonade. Who doesn't enjoy a refreshing, it's kind of sour, sugary little mix on a hot Saturday afternoon during the summer? But the problem is, as we get older, we got to think all about sorts of things that aren't good for us, and too much sugar is definitely something we need to talk about. Holli, there's a lot of sugar in those store brand lemonades, right?
It's true. It's almost like having a glass of soda.
Yeah, and come on, we can't do that. So on today's show, we're going to talk about some sugar alternatives. And as you can see, we have a little taste test coming up, right?
That's right.
But before we dive into that, Holli, since you're the registered dietitian, I thought I'd take this opportunity to help us, myself and the audience, understand a little bit more about these alternatives, because there's a lot of words that are thrown out that I think confuse people. Natural, artificial. Does it really have calories or not? What's this thing about glycemic index, right? So let's start with natural versus artificial. How do you define that as the RD?
Yeah, so I'm always for natural when possible. Essentially, natural means it's naturally occurring. It comes from a plant, whereas the artificial is, we don't have any of the artificial ones here today. These ones are all natural, but artificial means man-made, created in a laboratory.
Right. And natural doesn't mean there's not processing going on. That's a whole different story, right? You still got to process the natural plant
to some extent
to get to the sugar alternative. Calories, now that's another confusion, because some of them show calories, these sugar alternatives, some show 0 calories. People are kind of, well, what's going on there?
Yeah, so in terms of these sugar alternatives, they're going to be 0 calorie options, and then ones that do still contain calories. There's also this terminology, nutritive versus non-nutritive. So non-nutritive, those are going to be your 0 calories, 0 sugar options.
Right. Basically what they're saying, if it has calories, that they consider that nutrition in a sense, because that's where we make our energy from.
Right. And sometimes they'll even contain some macronutrients, micronutrients.
Good point. Yeah. And then glycemic index. This is another word that's thrown out there, right? And people just don't really understand what that is. Help us out.
Yes. So glycemic index, it's a number given to foods. It's a rating from 0 to 100. And it refers to how a food or beverage is going to affect our blood glucose levels, our blood sugar, right? So foods that have a GI of 70 or higher are going to be considered high glycemic index. Mm-hmm. So what that means is after 2 hours of consuming that food or drink, scientists look at what the effect is on our blood sugar levels.
Right. They're looking for kind of like that spike, and how much that spike is. The greater that spike, the higher the glycemic index, right?
Yeah. Correct, yes.
All right. So we'll talk more about that, especially as we get over to this group over there. Now, you mentioned the artificial ones, right? Let's avoid the artificial ones. They're made up in a lab. They're made by a chemist, not nature, all that kind of stuff. What are some of the reasons, though, we don't like those as choices?
Yeah, so there's a few interesting theories around how they impact our brain and our response. So because they're 100, 200, 400 times sweeter than sugar in some instances.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. They could actually desensitize our palate a little bit, and that extreme sweetness could actually leave us craving more sugar. So essentially the theory is, they trick the body into wanting the real thing.
Yeah. So when you eat something that's kind of sweet, but if it's not what you're used to with the artificial ones, you're like, oh, I need more of that. I need more sugar in that, right? That's maybe where they get us. We also know it's not great for your gut microbiome, right?
Yeah, there's some research showing it could actually cause dysbiosis, which is a gut microbiome imbalance.
Yeah, and long term, probably because of the cravings, the artificial sweeteners really don't help with weight loss at the end of the day.
That's true. The World Health Organization came out with a statement recently, said, hey, don't use these as a method for long-term weight loss.
Wow. There's better choices. And so the main ones, we have the pink pack, right? The pink one, that's saccharin, right?
So the ones that you want to avoid. So saccharin is the sweet and low, the pink packet. That's right. And then aspartame, it's going to be, I believe, the blue packet, also known as Equal is the brand name. And then the last one you want to avoid, sucralose, Splenda. So
that's the yellow one?
That's the yellow one.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're at a cafe, you see that little dish on the table with the different packets, you'll want to avoid those for the most part. But you may start seeing this green one, stevia, which we'll talk about in a little bit. That's a better option.
Yeah. Green packet, go.
Green means go. That's right.
The rest of them, no.
It's a good way to think about it.
All right, let's get into our little taste test here.
Okay.
I'm excited for this. So kind of explain to us, just real quickly first, the setup, these columns here we have.
Yeah, so our approach today is from the sugar alternatives, we want to taste how the 0-calorie options, 0 sugar, 0 calories, stack up to, good old cane sugar.
Yeah, so this is the good old-fashioned one we all remember as kids drinking that kind of stuff, right? And then we have the 0-calorie one. So let's do this first, and then we'll talk about this other group over there, okay?
Sounds
so
good.
let's take a sip of good old-fashioned regular sugar. We know this is going to be good.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I'm chewing ice. I mean, that's just classic.
Classic,
Right?
yeah, very
You
good.
took another sip, see?
It's so good.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff where you can just go, and maybe you start drinking too much. Now you're getting a lot of sugar. Okay, we already know the classic one's good, but we always want to have a control.
Yes.
We're comparing these to that.
I'm really interested to try these. So we're going to try stevia first.
Yeah. So stevia, natural, 0 calories.
0 calories. And yeah, there's some interesting research that it could actually be helpful for blood pressure. The steviosides.
Not bad at all. I got to stop, Robs, and I got to stop eating the ice.
Yeah, that is good, actually.
I don't mind that at all.
Mm-mm.
I think it's actually pretty close.
Yeah. That is pretty close. I like it.
A lot of people with stevia, I even have friends that say they it's too much of an aftertaste or something for them. In this kind of preparation, I don't taste no aftertaste to me.
That's kind of where I'm coming from too. Is with these, I don't like the aftertaste, but I'm really not detecting it that much with this.
Now, monk fruit, but you wanted to say something about this because this is pure monk fruit, right?
Yes. So when you're going to the store looking for monk fruit, you'll find a lot of blends in the powdered form. So I wanted to take a little bit of a purist approach today. I did the liquid monk fruit extract because these powder forms of monk fruit, they're going to be oftentimes either stevia or erythritol mixed with the monk fruit.
Yeah. When you go to your store, you're going to see a lot of those blends.
A lot of blends, even with some of these other ones. So just something to keep in mind.
Okay. Now, with the monk fruit and the stevia, so when we made these, this was like we had the equivalent amounts, right? Is that kind of so we're tasting the same amount of these sugars versus alternative sugars, right?
So I followed 4 different recipes, each calling for. So, like, for example, this one I made a simple syrup. It called for sugar, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water to make the simple syrup. The stevia called for 1.5 cups. So, not exactly equal in terms of, the amount, but the erythritol and sugar was a 1-1.
Sugar syrups,
Yeah.
All right, taste this.
Okay,
I tasted
which one
it.
was yours? That one?
That was mine.
Okay,
yeah.
let's see.
Let's see what you think before I say anything. Okay. Sour. I don't get much sweetness out of that.
Yeah, it's a bit sour, but not bad. I mean,
it's not bad, but it did catch me off guard. I kind of winced a little bit.
So far, my least favorite, but, it's actually not that bad.
Okay. And then we have our erythritol, right? Now, this is, again, natural, 0 calorie. That's the key thing here. These are natural 0 calories.
Right. So, erythritol is actually a sugar alcohol, ends with the OL. It's found in certain fruits and vegetables. Yeah,
it had some bad headlines recently.
That's true.
Yeah, there was a study. They were sensational headlines, but at the end of the day, they did show erythritol was connected to a little bit of an increase of cardiovascular risk. But the problem with that study was these people already were at high risk, and this subgroup of people in the study, they were doing over 30 grams a day of erythritol, and that's a lot. They were basically cooking, baking, and all that kind of stuff with it. So there's some issues with that study. I think for something like this, perfectly fine. Yeah.
So a packet of it, for example, is 1.5 grams.
Yeah.
Versus the study used 30 grams.
Over 30 grams. Okay, let's taste then. I think I'm going to like this one. Well, wait, hold on now.
Sour.
Mm-hmm. I taste I taste the erythritol a lot to me. Like if there's this one to me had an aftertaste. And it really wasn't an aftertaste. I kind of tasted it right away.
Okay, yeah.
And now I'm definitely tasting erythritol.
I do taste the erythritol.
Right. So, the winner, I think we're both going to point to the same thing.
1, 2.
Did it? Yeah, for sure. The stevia, I think, matched our control.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm still tasting the erythritol.
Yeah, and what was interesting when I made this one also called for a simple sugar, and it didn't stay liquid. It crystallized. So if you do make it with the erythritol, keep that in mind that it could recrystallize and separate. It won't be like that nice liquid like the cane sugar, simple sugar.
Yeah. So here's what I would do. I would start with these, find which one you like. If you find one, stick with it. However, Holly, some people still want a little sugar. Right?
Hey,
so we have some other choices, right?
That's right. So ultimately, for whatever reason, if you find you don't like these, the aftertaste, what have you, there are other options. So we're going to talk a little bit about these over here. And so cane sugar, also known as table sugar or sucrose, right? Sucrose contains 50-50 ratio of glucose to fructose, other sugars. Now, these alternatives over here are going to be not 50-50. They're going to be a little bit higher in fructose.
Okay.
The reason that becomes relevant and important here is that fructose is metabolized differently compared to glucose. It's metabolized slower, and therefore it's going to leave us with a lower glycemic index, less of a sugar spike.
Yeah. And that's you could say that for a lot of natural sources like fruits and vegetables. They're going to have more of the fructose in general.
That's true.
In nature. So the glycemic. So if we're going to compare these, now these are the nutritive one. These are the ones that have some calories, right? Some sugar.
That's right.
We're going to compare it to table sugar, which had a glycemic index, what did you say, 68? 65?
So 65, it has a glycemic index of 65 and 48 calories per tablespoon.
So let's go to your, where do you want to start? What's your favorite, I guess?
So let's start with coconut sugar. So coconut sugar, glycemic index of 35. Okay?
Hey, not bad.
Not bad.
Halfish.
So what's interesting about coconut sugar, it has a little bit of fiber in it, which is nice.
That's good.
Because remember, these ones are the nutritive ones. They contain, nutrition. So it will have a less of effect on the glycemic index and a small amount of minerals and fiber.
Okay.
Moving over to honey. Honey is amazing. Lots of great properties, antimicrobial properties. I know you guys did a nice show about honey.
On it. Yeah. Yep.
But interestingly, honey has 64 calories per tablespoon versus the 48
which
calories.
Which is more than just regular sugar.
Per tablespoon of sugar. More calories than sugar.
Yeah.
But a little bit lower of a glycemic index. Yeah. 55 versus 65. 55.
But I still, be careful with honey because people really believe, it's so much better than table sugar. And I watch people use a lot.
No, you still need to consume it in moderation.
You got to be careful. It does that. Okay, and so then, now this one's interesting to me is the beets.
Dates.
Yes. Why did I say beets? Dates. I like beets.
Well, they do make sugar out of beets.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But
these are dates.
But these are dates. So one ingredient, dried dates. That's it. So
which makes sense because they're so sweet.
Dates are sweet. It makes sense as an option. Now, date sugar has a glycemic index of 44 and 30 calories per tablespoon. And then it does, dates are high in fiber.
Okay.
It'll contain, similar to coconut sugar, it'll contain some minerals and fiber and antioxidants.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're really someone who's concerned about sugar intake and you're trying to control it, maybe you're keto, whatever, this is probably where you want to be.
Right.
But if you're not as concerned, maybe you're just wanting to cut back a little bit on sugar, those are probably pretty good choices. I definitely think the coconut and the date. The honey, I'd be a little careful with.
Yeah, still be careful. At the end of the day, they'll contribute to your calorie and sugar intake. But if you are looking for an alternative to cane sugar, you can consider the nutritive or the non-nutritive options. Yeah.
How many lemons did you squeeze for this?
About 20 lemons, I would say. 4.5 cups of lemon juice.
Look at that. That's dedication. That's Holli Ryan, a registered dietitian. You wrote a blog on this, correct?
Yes, and I'll even explore some other options that we didn't discuss today on that blog. And
lifeextension.com/sugar alternatives. Lifeextension.com/sugar alternatives. It'll be up there on the screen. Holly, thank you for joining me.
Yeah,
I always
thanks
have a
for
lot of
having
fun
me.
when you come on.
These are always really fun. Thank you.
You should check out the milk one we did.
Yes, we did if you missed it, we did a milk taste test, milk alternatives.
Some of those were pretty bad. Some of them were pretty good, right? Anyways, don't forget we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon. Please join us and like and share, comment, click the interested button. That way, every time we're about to go live, it tells you we're about to go live. We also are live on YouTube as well. That's every Wednesday, 12 noon. We'll see you there next time. I'm Dr. Mike. Bye.